and welcome to another episode of Speculative Speculations. I'm Basha,
I'm Jared.
I'm Chris.
and this is a series where we talk about speculative stories in all their forms. Today, we are talking about the third quarter. I was going to say the fourth of Absolution, and by Jeff Vandermeer. This is the fourth book in the Southern Reach series. We are working our way through these books, 100 pages every week. And today, there are three large-ish sections in this book. So we are finishing up the second half of the second section today. I forget the names of the subsections, but whatever we had in Annihilation, some of those. I think it was Immersion and Disillusion.
You may be right.
Immersion and Dissolution is correct.
Yes.
10 points for Varsha. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. And the short story is something with the word hands in it, because of course I forgot to pull up that awesome thing that Chris made up yet
The
again.
hands.
The
The
Hands.
Hands. Yes, by John Baxter.
Yes, very good.
I didn't remember this, so I managed to pull up the book
Look,
on
I was willing
on
to
the
let people
browser.
here listening,
Yes.
just be impressed by your knowledge. You didn't have to break the fourth wall
Ah, ah.
The short story for next week is entitled Darkness by Andre Carnero. Okay, that sounds fun. And we will be going through the end of Absolution for the next discussion. The book we will be reading after this will be Clara and the Sun by Kazuo Ishiguro. If you're reading along with us, or if you'd like to chat about these books, consider checking out the Page Chewing forum. That's where we sometimes, not always, build forum threads and talk about the books whenever we have a lot to say about them. Which, about Absolution, I think we might have quite a bit. What did you guys think of this section?
You go first, Jared. Oh, please.
Okay. It was okay. I think there was a lot of interesting things in here. A lot of interesting stuff that was going on, and there was a lot of stuff that was going on. And I was like, huh? But it's entertaining as hell. But it's also a little frustrating sometimes as well. And I just we'll go through it, but I it's like I'm being entertained at the same time being frustrated, and it's causing a lot of cognitive dissonance on my part. So but overall, I'm glad I'm reading it, because it's just it is fun, and it is interesting to see all these little tie-ins to the main series, or the first three books, and trying to figure out some of the other tie-ins that may or may not even be there. So we'll try to figure it out together.
Yeah, it sort of feels like this book should be titled More Stories from the Southern Reach Universe or something like that, rather than sort of a continuation of the story. Because I don't feel like it is a continuation. I just feel like it's more shit that happens in this world that may or may not be connected, depending on how much you read into it. Because everything that happens, I sort of feel like Vandermeer keeps on futzing with us. Like, we keep on expecting old Jim to become one with the planet, like start meshing and becoming one. There's all these allusions to water and stuff in this, again, sort of harking back to the end of Acceptance, and the fact that the portal is water and all of that kind of stuff. If you wonder what that's where it is, and it keeps on kind of alluding to this kind of thing. There's loads of other examples apart from that, but none of it's really resolving in anything for our Jimbo. I think that will not. Maybe it is, and maybe it isn't. Although he does come to this kind of idea, isn't it? Am I the candle? Am I the vessel? And the vessel. I think that's the main crux of this whole false daughter section, is then about which he is, and actually, if he's a vessel, what does that actually mean? Which I'm sure we'll come to in due course. But I'm sort of interested in who Cass is. That's the bit that, and I don't feel like we're ever going to know, because it feels like we're done with it. But in some ways, like, Cass just can't have disappeared at the end of the story, or for the last kind of 3, 4 chapters. She had to be somebody before she got there, and she had to be somebody afterwards because she's sort of invested in this world from her notes and stuff that she was given to old Jim. So yeah, there's so much going on. It is entertaining. Every kind of section you read gives another little bit of intrigue and all of that kind of stuff, but without ever giving us satisfaction. I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. And I like Cass as a character, and then she goes away, and I'm like, oh, let's bring her back. I don't know about you guys, but I stopped reading. Why did he call him Old Jim? The whole time I'm just like, why can't we just say Jim? I'm like trying to figure out why is it Old Jim all the time, and I still haven't got it because and what's up with Jack and Jackie? Why are they messing with him so much? What's their deal? Why? There's like a lot of unanswered questions here that are nagging at me. Like I don't know why these two central operatives are gutted out for old Jim. Why he's old, Jim, I don't know, and why they like why they seem to be just messing with him, and or are they, or is it just in his head and he's getting dissolutions into the area X, and I'm really a little bit lost on that part of it. And I really like the relationship between him and Cass, and I really like that partnership they came into, and then that was dissolved or washed away somehow, immersed. I don't know. So that's all the funny questions that I'm sure are frustrating other people too. On our read along here.
What are you feeling, Mother?
Mother. Oh, I'm actually her shredded journal. But um, what was I gonna say? The Yeah, you guys brought up several of the things that have been on my mind. I think this set of chapters, I was really high on the previous chapters on being back into the world, but I'm starting to mellow on that a little bit. It This section read to me like a spy thriller that I wouldn't be very interested, like a very confused sort of spy thriller, maybe. Um, which I didn't really like that switch in tone because I'm not fond of spy thrillers. And I'm talking specifically about the part where Jack apparently has it out for him and is trying to kill him, and there are people coming to attack him and imprison him. It's like we got sections out of a book about a spy, right? Like on a spy, which this is, but like some of the bad stuff that happens to them. We got parts of it without explanations or connecting threads, and that lost my interest in the book a little bit, in the story. But and the confusion level was amped up, and it's starting to feel a little less rewarding now to analyze, because I don't it's feeling a lot more like a confused muddle than, and I'm not saying the author's doing a poor job, it's just I don't know how to process all this information. uh, and and I think part of it captures the confused state that old Jim is in. And um and I think I keep bringing this up. He is a strange combination of the biologist and the and control in what he has set out to do or what he has been doing. Right? He's understanding from the outside, but he's also in the affected area, and he's got common experiences that we can relate to both characters, like the parts where he's blending into the environment, like he's struggling with his relationship with his daughter and makes peace with it towards the end, which I think makes sense for the chapter names. I bet they correspond to something similar experience of the biologist in the first book. So there's that similarity. Where was I going with this point though? Yeah, so I really like the part where he makes peace with his relationship with his daughter, and it's like it doesn't matter. That's a little bit of acceptance thrown in there for you. So it's like a good uh, a nice but very confused mesh of the first three books. And then the part about control is that he seems to be in this confused state. Like control has these lapses in memory or things that he doesn't remember doing that happened to him, and it turns out he's being conditioned from Central, right? And and throughout the book, and it got really amped up in this section. Uh, he has been listening to some lyrics in his head that keep just cropping up, and this was kind of genius levels of conditioning because it's not external triggers from the psychologist. It's a song that is stuck in his head. He has an earworm and he's conditioning himself into it. So I understand the setup for confusion, but I can't say I appreciate it. I'm in too deep and I'm struggling to find my way. And I don't know if that's me or the author. That's where I'm at with this section. So and I think you're right. I don't think that this really is a continuation. It's adding to the mysteries and it's not resolving anything that we know from before. I think we get more information, and I think it's making the events that we already knew even more mysterious. Which again, I like from the point of view of, oh, really, like having my worldview shifted and um, the basis for the science of this world, so to speak, rewired again and again, which is great. Lots of food for thought. But I think if you're going into this hoping for more clarity on what happened in Area X, that's just not going to happen. There are far more mysteries than there are answers.
There were several interesting points in this section that that fed back to Chris's time warping theories.
But Dan's, to be fair, they are completely Dan's time warping theories, or the temporal. That this is sort of temporal anomaly of some sort.
Yeah, because Cass mentioned in one of her letters or something like that, an entry point where the rogue may have arrived, and it was kind of italicized, and it was like, what exactly is that? And then there was something towards the end where it said the distant future, not the past, and the future was where the rogue came from. And so that was mentioned, pretty well, confirmed basically from previous stuff that we read, which I know that came up before, but I was always like a little on the fence about it, just because of how weird the whole series was. But but now I'm just like, okay, there's definitely a whole bunch of time wackiness going on with this Area X place.
That jumped out a bit me at time, because it does seem like there's a lot of like time jumping happen here, that either old Jim isn't aware of, or he is aware of, or he can't place. Isn't it the fact that he finds one of the cameras and he says that it's been 20 years since the biologist's kind of incident? That's like 20 years. That seems too long, because Saul hasn't become the crawler yet, and Henry's still there, and all of that. So I was really confused by that bit, because again, I was like, I had read that, but did I really read 20 years?
Well, I think it was 20 years since the biologist, plural. Yeah.
Yeah. From the original incident that happened at that stage. But at that stage, Saul's still about in this world. Henry's still about in this world at this time. It feels like 20 years is too long, but again, there shows your understanding, or my understanding certainly, of this world and the sequence of events that's happened, and it adds to confusion. And the biggest problem I sort of have with this story, as much as I've actually really enjoyed reading it, the Belgian story, the Control story, and this story are all very similar. Like, they do this investigation, but they all seem to be investigating the same thing, only different. It's kind of a bit strange, and it suffers a little bit from the loss syndrome. I know we brought this up an awful lot last time, but it was the crawler for the first 3 books, and now it's the rogue. And what's the difference? Like, there really isn't one to a certain extent, other than the rogue seems to have cured him of the conditioning in much the same way as Control and Biologist, or specifically the Biologist, was sort of cured of the control aspect of it.
Yeah,
So
right.
I mean, it has the same bleed over from story to story to story, and maybe that's entirely the point, and is that that's the kind of people that are drawn to this area X, this kind of finding yourself kind of place. But it does make for a weird and odd reading experience when you're trying to. I can't even say that I'm trying to glean understanding. I'm just trying to place people and things in the world. There's an awful lot of characters, new characters introduced, and there's like light links to everything because they talk about Gloria, they talk about Saul, they talk about everybody that's sort of in this, and they nearly place them, but they don't.
So I think these are the events in this book, in Jim's story right now. They're the events leading up to the end of acceptance.
Yes,
But
which
yes,
is the
I
start of the story, essentially.
yeah, yeah. But yes, it was surprising to me too about the 20 years, because this, and again, I think this is interpretation. I don't think the author made it clear, so it's not going back on anything. But I thought that uh, the lighthouse light, what lens, the thing that Henry supposedly released from the lens, is what created Area X. But that seems to have precipitated or sped up things rather than have
Oh, yeah.
created it. But also, I think, um, what was I saying? Yeah, I think Dan's theory about it expanding back in time is basically true now. Because the rogue is apparently an entity from the future. And did you also get the sense of a little bit of life after life, that there were multiple attempts at creating different futures, but
Well,
it
I was going to bring this up. It's also kind of struck me that Jim dies a couple of times here,
yeah,
and this sort of gets brought back to life a few times in his own way.
hmm,
Much like the medic as well. I mean, the medic. It happens. To the medic. It probably happened to
right.
Henry here if you were to keep on going. Like, nobody
Oh, right,
really
yeah.
dies in this part of the world. Because again, that imagery of water, etc., keeps on getting used as almost like the rebirth of
Oh, yeah,
things.
yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, water rebirth makes sense. That I like that. I didn't think of that. But yeah, it started to make a very confusing point about time, which again, but again, I like this, that it's not clear whether it's Area X or Jim's head.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah.
uh, but yeah, that time thing was interesting, and it's not just the expansion or shrinking of time, which relativity, I don't know how you would explain that, but I guess that's something that you could accept more easily than now we have time travel supposedly, and maybe even some sort of loops. And the rogue is an entity from the future. Do you guys think it's the crawler?
Well, I was going to say I thought it was Control. That's who I thought the rogue was,
uh
Oh, maybe.
because they said it came from Central. That wasn't that one
mm,
of the determinations that old Jim has, was like, oh, this has been sent from Central or
mm-hmm.
created in Central and then been sent to us. So it doesn't give too many options. If, like, I agree with you, it's sort of come from the future and come in and is human enough that it can be injured and killed.
mm,
So to me, it was Control, Grace, Gloria. It was
yeah,
one of
Oh
those
yeah, and
based
the
on what we know.
pentagrams with all those names, which I guess Control would have drawn for his
Well,
research.
that yes,
Oh,
again, that's another kind of thing for the time loop, temporal
yeah,
kind of nature is that actually he's going into the future or some space that is fluid in time or otherwise, that other people
interesting.
mightn't have seen as well. So it could have been, it could have been as easily Grace, could have been as easily like it could literally be anybody in its own way. But I think that idea that I thought Control because it was that idea that it came from Central, or
Mm.
in some ways, and he was investigating it there.
And he did sort of go into that hole at the bottom of the
Yeah.
ocean. Maybe this is where he ended up. He he didn't end up on another world. He ended up back in time.
And
Oh,
and actually, him freeing old Jim of the control would be kind of the thing that he was trying to get rid of because he was
Kind of
control, if you know what I
apropos,
mean. He was
yeah.
trying to pass that on.
That would
Um,
tie
yeah,
in, yeah,
yeah.
thematically and stuff, yeah. Huh.
But this book's fun to talk about because, like, it generates a lot of things that are possible and about it, which is where it kind of comes from. And I think I made this point in the forum to kind of say, without the discussion of trying to think, well, actually, that could be true, that could be true, that could be true. You rob yourself of the experience of why it's
Yeah.
fun.
Well, on that point, there's a very interesting passage in here that Vandermeer seems to be kind of talking to us. And it says, the sensation of lingering on words was peculiar now. He did not like to do it, to scrutinize, preferred to glance, to skim and move on, as if in the cursory slant of his regard he might be spared the power of whatever stared back at him from the letters. And that's kind of Vandermeer saying, "Reader, this is you."
well, I like that.
Yeah.
I noticed that line, but I didn't think of it like that. I had a an opposite experience of a line saying, "Reader, this is me. This is I Vandermeer," because there's a bunch of notes about all these characters and like lines drawing them from I think the rogue's perspective, and I was like, I was like, this is just Vandermeer dumping his authorial notes for this book here, right?
Yeah,
Is the rogue Vandermeer? Is that who he is?
Oh, there we go.
there you go.
He's trying to help these characters because he's written them all
Yes,
into a corner and he doesn't know how to get
yes.
himself out. And he's like, right, I'll come to the rescue. And then they shot him. So, and the character that shot him was never seen again. So,
Yes,
you know,
yep,
although again,
exactly.
does bring the idea that he collapsed there and then a time jump. Maybe Cass disappeared, but she does reappear later on. Maybe there's a long time that passes between those two events and him waking up. Remember, she's kind of standing over him, and then it goes away.
Hmm.
That
Do you
might be
think there's
maybe
a
stretch
long
into that.
time jump?
Like we sort of think it's like a couple of hours or a couple of days. I think 3 days is actually what they say in the book, but it could be a long period of time between
Mm,
those events. You don't know because again, it sort of appears that he dies or changes form or something like that. There's a change within him. He's reborn. His doppelganger comes back. There we go. We don't know. All
yes.
these things are possible.
That means his consciousness is transferring across these beings. And
And maybe old Jim refers to not doppelganger or a doppelganger rather than Jim.
Oh, old Jim is the original Jim, and there's
Yeah.
there's there's new Jims going
There could
around
be new
somewhere.
Jims going about.
Ah,
hmm, yeah,
maybe we'll get a new Jim later on in the book.
And in the next book,
interesting.
we're going to get new Jim. We're going to get whole stories
Yes.
about the original daughter, not the false daughter, and new Jim, the spin-off series.
I would like a book from Area X's perspective. That's all.
But who would be the narrator? Just the whole environment? Yeah. Okay. Second person. Yeah.
Okay, and now I kind of want to read Solaris. Uh, all I know about it is it's about a sentient planet, but I don't
Yes.
know if it's narrated from the point of view of the planet.
No. Well, I've seen two of the film
Okay.
versions of Solaris, and neither of them are from that perspective. But that would be interesting.
Damn.
Do another
Yes.
remake? Yep.
Yes. Okay.
I am a planet.
I am a planet. uh, I am vast and noble. Okay, I'll shut up.
Like, talk about life
Reason
goals
number.
for you, Varsha. Your world domination is taking on new
Yes.
levels
Yeah.
and constructs.
I know.
Yeah.
She's the boss.
Yes.
She's the adjunct. She's everything.
You know how Marvin keeps going on about how he has a brain the size of a planet? uh, from The Hitchhiker's Guide to the
Oh yes.
Galaxy. Yes.
And I'm stuck
Yeah.
here with you humans. Yeah.
Well, that sounded like I was boasting about my brain. I am not. I'm just saying that
Yes, you were.
that reminded me of that. What did you guys think of the rogue's blood being basically the
The
tyrant's
tyrant.
blood?
Yeah.
Yeah, we saw some reversal of this, right? They in Annihilation they got some samples from the environment, and they all seem to have human DNA.
Yeah.
But now it's a human-shaped thing that supposedly has alligator DNA, and
So do the cameras also have human
Yeah.
DNA? Was the
oh,
rogue shucking camera goo?
yes.
So
So
No,
the
maybe.
Annihilation movie
Yes.
did this horrible thing that I hated, but I'm sorry, apologize in advance for hating on this, but about the refraction of DNA through through the wall, um, which seemed like, well, okay, it was already a thing in the first book, but it seems to be more adopted in this book about the mixture of DNA. But that was always a thing. They just decided to explain it in the damn movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. And again, I think this is, in some ways, it's a kind of book that you like to delve deep into, but don't delve too deep, because as soon as you start really picking at it, you're gonna rob of its mystery, and
yeah, you
it's
start
power.
saying things like refraction of DNA.
Exactly. Yeah, you're hitting on something there, for sure. Refraction of DNA. Oh dear.
Oh God. Yeah, so I think I don't know, is there much to analyze or discuss in this? I feel like most of it went over my head. The time thing was interesting, the thing that Jared highlighted about words creeping back, and I guess the fact that old Jim was being conditioned. But I don't know, man, Jack's just evil. I don't know what he wants, and I can't say I care.
who was the bad guy we didn't like from Control in the first in the Authority in Acceptance?
So Jack
That
is
was
his grandfather, and Jackie's his mum. So
Lowry is the guy we hate.
Lowry,
yeah,
that's the
Lowry.
Meg
guy.
Yeah,
Okay,
Megalodon.
and I
yeah.
think the next section of the book is about Lowry, because
Could
that
could
was
Lowry be
what
the
was
rogue?
promised in this again could very possibly be.
The the rogue is starting to feel like a noble person,
Yeah,
and Lowry. I mean, I think he became as twisted as he was after being through Area X, but I feel like he needed to have started a little twisted
Maybe,
to
yeah.
get
really.
there.
But yeah,
Lowry, the noble DNA shucking alligator friend guy,
when you put it
the
like that,
the
yeah,
rogue.
But the alligator healed. Oh man, okay, I it was a very strange scene, but I loved it. Absolutely loved it when it looked when does Vander okay, I'll get there. When this
take a run
water
up.
thing opened up in the room, and then the alligator came towards
Yeah,
him,
Yeah,
and
that
I
was
yeah.
thought
brilliant.
he's getting eaten, man, but it took him gently.
Took him
Yeah,
gently. Yeah, that's
like a
right.
And
floppy thing in his mouth. That's what I was thinking at that
yes,
point.
Right.
yes,
Yeah, that's right. We
exactly.
saw
Yeah.
that before.
Mm-hmm.
Was he seeing himself in that moment?
Oh.
No, I don't know.
Well, it
No.
wasn't him. It was somebody else, a
Yes, it was.
biologist.
Yeah.
So he may have gone back in time
Jeez.
with the rogue. Yeah, they did open up.
Like
But I love
literally
that.
everything's possible. Everything is
Yes,
it could happen.
So
yes,
this gator is nothing more than a modified golden retriever, really.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
pretty much.
Mine
I guess,
mine brings
I
me
guess,
bunnies from outside, and they're perfectly fine. Um,
I think, I think the goal of this book is for Vandermeer to tell us alligators aren't horrible. Stop hating on them. I don't know. Is there some nationwide hate against alligators? But I don't know. It's hard not to be afraid of them. But
Yeah.
if
well,
one puts you in its mouth, it's eating you.
it's yeah, their jaws
Just
don't
gently
open that
caressed
easily.
it in its sharp teeth, you know, it was nice.
Yeah,
We have glossed over the fact of the murder.
Oh yes,
for the
what
murder.
of I'm trying to remember who got
Colonel
the brutes. Yeah, the people stuffed in the barrels.
Oh
no, but
yeah, what was
of
up with that guy? Who was that guy?
who was that guy? That's what I was going to say. That's exactly what I was going to bring. So he seemed to be like just a dude with an ordinary name, as it wasn't he? And Gus or something, wasn't it? The end or
Colonel
something.
something or other. I don't know.
In my head, he was just Colonel Sanders, but
Thistleblower.
yeah.
Thistleblower, right?
This'll blow it. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was up with him? I didn't get it. I didn't like.
So again, the timeline of this again seemed to mess with me. So he woke up from the incident with the rogue, and he was sort of in being looked after, but he was sort of in captivity, and then he thought he was going to get killed, and he ended up turning the tables and killing him, and then stuffing him in barrels, and
Yes.
And how big are these barrels that multiple bodies get stuffed into them? Is it
but but
one per barrel?
but I thought I just when I was reading that section, I got to a certain point, and I was like, did I skip 4 or 5 pages about how we got here and how
Yeah.
this?
Exactly. Yes, that's how I
Yes.
felt. I was
Yes.
like suddenly he went from suddenly being the spy versus spy, the victim of a conspiracy within the control within the system, to a horror movie. We jumped to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre all of a sudden, and there's a guy stuffing people in drums, and and I'm like,
So
what?
here's another theory.
Oh
Was
boy,
he the tyrant at that moment?
was
Oh,
who the colonel?
yeah.
No, it was Jim,
Was Jim the
Old
tyrant?
Jim.
the tyrant,
Oh,
or
Yeah.
something of that, because it was almost animalistic at that point. You know,
Yeah.
why would they, if he was a human form or whatever? Because this was just after the rogue, and he confronted the rogue and all that kind of stuff. But it was so weird. It just didn't seem to fit. I actually flicked back a few pages and read it again. I was like, no, this is directly after this event. This doesn't seem to fit. Again, this animalistic antagonistic part didn't seem to fit the rest of the story.
Hmm.
That was an ordinary
Yeah.
guy. Yeah.
It it is interesting. He does seem to keep sort of shifting back and forth between the environment, sort of becoming part of the environment like the
Yeah.
biologist did in
mm,
Annihilation.
that's true.
So
Yeah.
it's possible. Is Jim himself the rogue then? Some sort of weird time
Why
loop?
not?
Why not? Yeah.
He's
We've
searching
tried
for
all the other
himself.
theories.
He's
Well,
searching
Yes.
for yeah.
I like him
Yes.
being the alligator, but
Yeah.
Mm.
and he
Because
was
Yeah.
then he
carrying
No,
sees
but
himself.
the rogue and the alligator are the same too, right? Because
That's
the
right.
rogue's DNA was the alligator's DNA. So basically, this is some predestination shit that's going on in this story. So, or Ollie zombies shit, whichever. Take your pick. I think predestination is based on
And
Ollie
maybe
zombies
maybe
too.
that all ties back to the ant incident and the previous bit that we didn't actually discuss last week. You know, the one where
And
your woman cuts off her leg.
oh yes, yes, yeah. Please remind me what happened there because some I think old Jim referenced that
So
with
see,
the
so the story was that there was a woman and she stepped on an ant and it seemed to basically take on a life of its own. Its claws dug into her, and then she ended up having like a neurotic kind of episode where she thought it was kind of eating at her and doing whatever. And she ended up cutting off her own leg. But it could be sort of symbolism of again the shucking of the cameras and all the regurgitation of DNA and the fact that you cut off a limb and it would be reborn or something in another state, or I don't know. I'm really
Mm,
shooting around here now.
yeah. It is
Well,
it.
we later on in acceptance, we had two different versions of the biologists staring at each
That's
other, right?
That's true.
So, I don't know. I'm grasping as well.
And yeah, I really apologize to anybody having to listen to this. This must be dreadful.
As if the book wasn't enough. We need
Jeff
we
Vandermeer
add
must
to
be
the
getting
confusion.
a big bottle of whiskey and listening to these on a weekly basis and going, Jesus Christ, they're so far off the beam. This was so obvious. Everybody else has read this book, sort of got what I was on about, but these guys are no
Yeah,
idea.
just grasping. Speaking of grabbing a bottle of whiskey, I was in a semi-sleep deprived state. All Jared was going for his bottle. um, I was in a yeah, I was sleep deprived when I was reading this book, which I think is the closest I'll ever get to being in an intoxicated state. And and that's when I didn't think about whether I lost pages. I thought I must be half asleep because what the hell am I reading? I thought I was in a semi dream state. So that might be a good way to enjoy this. Like you can feel like you're or tripping or something because I I'm not able to make sense of it. It's just it feels just these chapters and not the whole book so far feel
And,
very disconnected.
and just so people understand, I don't think we're actually ragging on the book.
No,
Yeah.
It's still
No.
enjoyable to
Yes.
some certain extent. It's still like he has a style in it, in the prose, and the characters are interesting.
yeah.
They're
Mm.
interesting people, and it's
You'll root for
still
them all. Like
you're
the fact
rooting
that you
for them.
really
You know,
Yeah.
like
yeah,
Jess
Yeah.
and you really like old
yeah.
Jim,
And
even though
so
she's an imposter, like we should hate her, but we really like her
Yeah.
because she's in good intention.
and
Yeah.
like the beginning of the next section is called "Fuck That Chicken," so I'm I'm just like, what is going on here? But so it's still fun to read.
Yes, I agree with you. I mean, I don't think it's a hard it I think making me like an alligator is a feat, you know? You know what I'm saying? And I feel like
Oh
this book has a lot of emotional depth too. Like with little sentences. The bit with his daughter in the end was beautiful.
yes,
But there were a lot of other things. Like when Jackie showed up. I've been on the fence about whether to like her or not. She wasn't very likable from Authority, but she showed up and she's getting pulled back to Central, and bad things might happen to her. And I had to stop and I felt bad for her. So yeah, I think this book might be in terms of writing, Vandermeer at his best, or at I don't know about at his best because I haven't read much else by him besides the Southern Reach, but for this series, I think writing wise, in terms of how many beautiful lines there are, I think he's really outdoing himself.
I am also worried that he might have just lost it because I'm looking at some of these chapter names. I mean, the whole section is called "Fuck That Chicken," and the first section of that's called "Love and Glory Holes." Then the next
Mm.
one's "Fuckling Pickle Jars." Um, No Reason Titty. Reverse Pupperfish.
he went off the deep end. That's
So
all there is to it.
Cucuffuck. And then two men in a fucking boat thing. You know what I mean?
My, my. All
so
right,
these
that's enough. I'm opening it up. There we go.
I mean, I'm excited.
yes. So these are Lowry's chapters. Do you think they're just quotes from stuff he says on a
I'm
daily
excited.
basis?
I think it must be like, because I think that was one of the things that was the premise of this book, is that we were going to get Laurie's perspective from the first
Mm.
expedition. I
Yeah.
think that was one
Yeah.
of the first things that this was sort of billed as, which that's cool because he's a dick.
Mm.
I'm
Yes.
sort of looking forward to not rooting for somebody. This is going to be
Yeah.
good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Do you think? Yeah, Jared's enjoying his whiskey in a teacup. Is that how whiskey is
Cheerio.
had? Oh, nice.
Actually, maybe that's the end of the book. Maybe, although again, people would love the end of the book. If he ended up being the rogue and the book ends with him getting shot by cats, how many
Mm.
people be like, "Yeah, what an ending!" So it can't be that.
Oh.
Can't be that.
Do you
That would
think
be
we'll
cool.
go back to old Jim? Though I wonder if this is it. We're not seeing any more of old Jim.
Jeff Vandermeer can write another 14 books in this series. Just whatever's in his head. He could just go, "We're going back
Yes.
to the old gym, we're going back to whatever," and people will be like, "Yeah, more."
Yeah, this is the
And
last
I will
Yeah.
be
century.
one of those people. Yeah.
Me too. Yes. I'm here for it. And I talked before about parts of the book, sort of my interest flagging for parts of
Hmm.
it, but immediately that would last for like 3 pages, and then it would bring me back, say something to bring me back, especially about the time loop thing. Go ahead.
It's just not that propulsive all the time because you do have these moments where it's narratively jarring and you're kind of like you were building up a head of steam and you're like, "Oh, I really want to find out about this," and then it kind of something weird happens that takes you out of it and whatever else, and so you kind of reset and you kind of go, "Oh, I had a bit of a rhythm there in reading and it's kind of stopped." And yeah, it just
That's
does that
true.
thing and then starts a
Yeah.
new section again. You're like, "Oh, I'm invested in this," and then it reverts back and then yeah.
Yeah, reset is a great word for it. And I think, I wonder if that's intentional because of the conditioning that old Jim has been subjected to. He's sort of kind of like control a little bit, like when he kept resetting himself with that blowhorn in that scene. There's, do you think that there's something similar going on here, except on a much larger scale, with something pulling him out of conditioning each time? It was the rogue last time. In
Much the same way as the crawler was sort of doing as well. It was sort of imposing itself on the world all the
mm,
time and doing things like that.
mm,
And again, the idea of the bar being central to all this, because even he was
yeah,
asking what was going on in the bar, and there seemed to be stuff going on in the bar that
yeah,
seemed important, but we didn't get to see it. Big six
no,
coming. Yeah.
and we saw again fragmented snippets of, but we know he made it back to the bar because he was playing that awful piano music. That
Well, again, was it him though? Was that new Jim? Was that old
yeah,
Jim? Was that, you know?
that's true. And Cain apparently had died and lived again. We know that. When did he die, though? We didn't see him die in acceptance, right? It was just him being killed by old Jim. But yeah, I didn't follow Cain's story. Henry Cain.
Oh, Henry,
The
yes, yes, sorry, Henry
Yeah.
King, yeah, yeah.
Uh,
I was going to say, I've forgotten the whole character, but yes, Henry King, yeah, again, dead, but maybe not dead. Who
Mm,
knows?
yeah, we've had a couple of him, haven't we?
yeah. A couple of him.
Again, I
Yeah.
don't know. He seems like a different person than from Acceptance. You know what I mean? There's an awful lot more depth to him and a lot more. Um,
I mean, I was chalking that up to perspective, maybe, but
could be, yeah, yeah. Different people seeing that.
Oh, do you think the doppelgangers are some sort of time loop or time travel doppelgangers, not reproductions?
I,
Oh,
I just, I just sort of feel like we should have seen more Gloria and Saul during this period.
yeah.
It feels like that should have been. They should have been things in this world and not really Henry and the medic and all of that kind of stuff. But maybe
mm,
again the time aspect of that because Laurie does leave her ex for a while, doesn't she? So
yeah.
But she hasn't left yet. She is still
no, she's been
around
around
with
there, yeah.
Jim. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
We got just that one scene with her. We could have gotten more. I was looking forward to more. I liked Kid Gloria.
yeah, yeah. Kid Gloria's interesting.
Yeah.
I just don't know. Like this is one of these books that if you had to rate it though, I can't gonna get the end of this book and go. I mean, somewhere between a 1 and a 5, and out of 5. You know,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
one of those. On one day it's a 1, and another day it's a 5, and you know, it's like I'm really
Yeah.
enjoyed it, but could I recommend it to other people? I don't know. Part
Yeah.
of the fun has been the continuation of our reading journey together.
Yeah. I think up to the point we got to this section, I would have even gone so far as to say this good work for people who haven't read the original
Mm,
trilogy. But now I'm not so sure because I feel like you have to really buy into the world to be
Yeah.
okay with the levels of
I have a
confusion
feeling
we had.
if somebody reads
Yeah.
this first, they're never gonna read the original trilogy.
Because there's so many little callbacks that just pique your interest at those moments when it's a downtime. Like when he went in and seen all the names scrawled on the walls. Like as soon as that happens, you perk up and go, "Oh, we're about to get something here." Or they talk about water, they talk about anything, the cameras or the rabbits. All he has to
Hmm.
do is like drop in a little word, and you're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
what's happening?"
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you don't have those callbacks, then you'd be really like, "What?"
Yeah. So you know how the all this conditioning thing. You remember how Control and people at Southern Reach, they were terrified of reading anything from Area X. They quarantined and isolated everything. And reading the words of the crawler that felt like they were being changed by that, that felt very similar to Jim's experience with the lyrics of the song. Like the
That's
way
true,
they were
yeah.
interspersed, it felt almost like the way the role that the crawler's lyrics played. I wonder if that is something else that the creature of Area X duplicated, the
Learned from it,
conditioning of
yeah.
human minds from experiments that were already being done by Central, because they started with the generator and now they're doing this weird shit with Jim. And now maybe Area X adopted it with the modification of the
Oh,
journals
yeah,
and stuff.
yeah. We mentioned that
Yeah.
before, didn't we? I think
Yeah,
we
so
did.
it's basically saying that
Mm,
it's learning from its experiences, so the
Yeah.
people that kind of go into it,
yeah.
a bit like the
Yeah.
Borg in
Yeah.
Star Trek.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think Chris said that it might be doing the doppelganger thing by learning from Cass.
From
So
Cass,
I
yeah,
guess I guess I was sort of building on that with
yeah.
the thing about um
It uses experience. Like, I can't
yeah.
remember what you call it, on Winter's Ground or something the song was called, but again, it keeps morphing and changing, and it's done in exactly the same style as the crawler
Mm,
language. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. Are we
Cool. I mean,
ready
I
to?
am excited to finish it off. So this
Yeah,
is
me too. We're going all the way to the end, right? It's a
Yeah.
little over 100 pages, but
It's
we'll be fine.
134 or
130.
140,
Yeah.
Yeah,
something like that.
something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah. Cool. Are we ready to talk about Hands? The Hands
The
by
Hands.
The
John
Hands by
Baxter.
John
John
Baxter.
Baxter.
We've
7
we've read.
Earthmen.
Yes. Go ahead.
Oh, 7 Earthmen who had been tortured by the outsiders come back to Earth. And they're weirdly, strangely different.
They have grown extra bits.
I've grown extra bit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Some extra hands, some extra heads, some bigger bellies, some like they're just kind of
Brains.
they're,
Yes.
they're not constricted by anatomy and physiology anymore.
And if you look closely, they have enough parts between them apparently to make one person.
The master.
Yeah.
I'm saying to Jared before we started recording, I was about half a page from finishing this, and I was going, "What is this about? Where is it going? What could possibly happen in this last half a page to make this all sense?" Again, I sort of had a similar idea of, have I just sleep read this entire thing and picked up absolutely nothing? I thought I was sort of getting it, but none of it seems to be joined together. And then we read the last two paragraphs, and I was like, "Oh right, okay."
Yeah.
We're approaching what, 50 stories from this collection? There aren't very many about which we said, what the fuck did I just read? this this one was.
Yeah.
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 It was just like a little I don't know. It's hard to explain. It was just like a little regurgitation of this is what it's messed up about getting taken by aliens and coming back and blah. You're a monster, And he kind of he contrasted that with the when the guy was explaining to the general, what was going on with their transformations and stuff like that, and the general was saying disgusting, barbaric, inhuman, and the guy was like, no, not really. they're not like us. And so he was kind of making a little statement there about the human race and how barbaric and disgusting we can be on our own terms. But it was really too little, too weird. It was just, I don't know. It seemed wasn't one of my favorite stories in the collection. But other than that, it was short, so
Yes.
that was
At
good.
least
But
it was short. It didn't go on for 20 pages before doing something
before
completely
doing
weird.
yeah, something silly like that, yeah.
Yeah.
And then at the end, oh look it, they're a monster now.
But what it has given is Jared a reason to use his film's name as his moniker here.
To promote my name, yes.
His name, yeah. So the Killing Hand.
The
It should be
Killing
Killing
Hand.
Hands, but I can see what you've done there with stripping the S off, the extra hands. Did you use this story as inspiration?
No. Never heard of this story. The Killing Hand is actually inspired by Batman. So, there you go.
Nice. I actually read that. It's an Alan Moore Batman story, right?
That's The Killing Joke.
Killing Joke.
Oh, damn.
About the Joker.
The Killing Hand
Origin story.
is the movie I sent you in the mail.
Yes.
Oh, right. Yes, I remember. I have to find a way to watch that at some point. I no longer own anything that can play a disc.
Look, see on Amazon, right? You can go
Yeah.
on, right? And you can type in DVD player, right? And then have it in your doorstep the next day. I don't know if you knew that, Portia, but
Why, thank you, Chris. I really appreciate the
you
input.
are welcome. You seem to be struggling there for a minute, desperate to watch this.
It just happened to me today. Something appeared on my porch magically. I don't know how.
You thought of it and it appeared. There you go.
It appeared.
You think of it and Alexa orders it for you. All right. I mean, I think I two very weird things read today.
Yes.
Lots of fun.
Lots of weird fun. Yep.
I can't wait to get Clara the Sun, the first discussion, and we'll read it and go, boring.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Oh, there's people in love and characters that have
Yes.
houses and, living normal lives.
This makes complete sense. What's wrong here?
This is crap. DNF.
Does not strange enough DNF. All right. Cool. If you're listening, thank you so much. We'll see you next week with the last of Absolution and the next short story, which I no longer have pulled up. But we're working our way through the big book of science fiction, and we'll see you soon. Bye. That was weird.
What a
Sorry.
pro.